Good morning everyone. In the last topic we have seen the primary number system, that is set of natural numbers and set of whole numbers. The entire topic dealt with the counting numbers, that is natural numbers, along with the number 0. Do we have any other numbers apart from counting numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on and 0? Do we have any other numbers? The answer for it is yes. We do have some numbers towards the negative side. So what kind of numbers are they, and where do we use those numbers, and how we are going to use those numbers, let us discuss. And what do you call that set of numbers also we'll discuss in this topic. And let us go through some examples or some situations where we use that negative numbers. Let's discuss the situation number 1. In the situation number 1, consider an apartment. In an apartment, normally we'll be having the floors. First floor, second floor, third floor, fourth floor, or we'll have cellar 1, cellar 2. Let us discuss a situation where we have the ground floor. Let us suppose that this is the ground floor. Suppose a person is moving to the first floor. If a person is going to the first floor, the first floor is indicated by +1, as because that floor is one floor above the ground level. And if the person wants to move to the second floor, obviously the second floor is indicated by the number +2, because the second floor is 2 floors above the ground floor. What about the ground floor? As the ground floor is just a ground floor, the basic floor, so it is indicated by the number 0. In case if we consider the cellars, let us suppose that if you want to go to the cellar, say cellar number 1 or the first cellar. The first cellar is 1 floor below the ground floor, so the cellar is indicated by -1. Imagine that we have one more cellar below the cellar 1. In case if we need to go to the second cellar, then obviously the second cellar is indicated by -2, because the cellar 2 is 2 floors below the ground level. So in this situation we have used the positive counting numbers along with the number 0, and as well as the negative numbers like -1 and -2. So this is one of the situations where we have used the negative numbers. Let us come across the second situation where we use the negative numbers. Let's suppose that a man is rowing in a boat. A man is rowing in a boat in the still water. In case if he has seen a bird flying in the sky at about a height of 3 meters, and at the same situation he also has seen a fish swimming in the water a distance of 2 meters. So how do we represent this situation? What numbers do we use to represent this situation? The situation what we observe here is the person is on the water in the rowing in a boat. That means the water is considered as a sea level. This sea level is considered as a 0 level. So this situation is indicated by 0. If the person is seeing the bird flying about 3 meters above the sea level, as the bird is flying 3 meters above the sea level, so this distance is indicated by the number +3. Why do we use the sign plus? Because the bird is above the sea level, so the plus sign indicates that the bird is flying above the sea level. In case if you have seen the fish swimming in the water about 2 meters below the sea level, the distance of the fish from the sea level is considered as -2. That is, the negative sign indicates that the fish is swimming below the sea level, but the value may be 2 meters or the distance may be 2 meters, but This situation we represent it as -2 because the minus sign indicates the level where the fish is swimming, sorry. So the fish is swimming below the sea level. That's the indication for minus sign indicates that it is below the sea level. So in this situation also we have used the positive counting number as well as the negative counting number, including the number 0. Let us consider the third situation. In the third situation, let us consider two friends. Let's suppose that two friends, Ramu and Somu. Two friends, Ramu and Somu, has gone for a stationery shop. Both of them carried 10 rupees each. Ramu has 10 rupees in his hand. Somu also has 10 rupees in his hand. Now, the situation is Ramu wants to purchase 2 pens in the initial stage, but as soon as he has seen the pens, he liked the pens, so he wants to purchase 3. Whereas Somu didn't like the pen, so he just want to buy only 1 pen. So what happens? Ramu wants to buy 3 pens, whereas Somu want to buy only 1 pen of each worth rupees 5. So because Ramu has only 10 rupees, with this amount he can get only 2 pens, but he needs 1 more pen extra. So what he does is, he borrows 5 rupees from Somu on the condition that he returns the money later. So he borrows 5 rupees from Somu, that means he gets 15 rupees, so he will purchase the 3 pens. So whereas Somu purchases 1 pen. Coming for the value of the money in their hand, as Ramu does not have sufficient money, he borrowed 5 rupees from his friend, keeping a point that he is going to return the money to him. So this situation, we indicate the amount totally with Ramu is going to be rupees -5. Whereas Somu is already having 5 rupees in his hand, but he has given it to Ramu so that he can purchase a pen. The value of money what Somu has is rupees +5. So plus sign indicates that he has got a saving. The minus sign indicates that Ramu has a debt of 5 rupees. The minus sign indicates it's a debt, whereas the positive sign indicates that it's a saving of Somu. So the numbers -5 and +5 here we have used in this situation number 3. So in all the 3 situations we have used the numbers, positive numbers, negative numbers, including 0. Now these numbers, the positive counting numbers and the negative counting numbers including 0, we call it as the set of integers. So our topic is the set of integers. So we'll once again discuss about what is the set of integers. So as discussed in the earlier situations, the positive counting numbers and the negative counting numbers including 0, we call it as a set of integers. Now let me write all the positive counting numbers 1, 2, 3 and so on. These are called as a positive counting numbers. Number 0, and we'll take the negative counting numbers -1, -2, -3 and so on. All these numbers taken into a set, we call it as a set of integers indicated by letter Z. Why do we indicate the set of integers by the letter Z? Z is given or taken from the word Zahlen. Zahlen is a German word which means to count. So not only positive numbers but even negative numbers also are used to count. So to count, the word to count is taken in German, the word Zahlen, and the initial letter of it is Z. So the set of integers is indicated by Z. Now in the set of integers we have the counting numbers, positive counting numbers, we have negative counting numbers including 0. Let me once again write the set of integers. So now, how many positive counting numbers do we have? How many negative counting numbers do we have? That's the question. So how many positive counting numbers we have? So 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. We'll be having infinite number of positive counting numbers. And the negative counting numbers are exactly the additive inverses of positive counting numbers. So -1, -2, -3 and so on, they are the additive inverses of the positive counting numbers. So these numbers are also an infinite number. So altogether, the set of integers z contains infinite number of integers, the infinite number of numbers. So in this situation here, the positive counting numbers already we have seen that those numbers are called as natural numbers. So let us discuss the important note regarding the set of integers. The first note is the positive counting numbers. The positive counting numbers are 1, 2, 3 and 4 and so on. These positive counting numbers, we have already discussed that it is a set of natural numbers because these are the numbers which generally we use naturally to count the things. So this set of positive counting numbers is indicated by n. N indicates set of natural numbers. And if I include the 0 into it, so we get the non-negative counting numbers. The non-negative counting numbers means we should not consider the negative counting numbers. So let's take the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on along with 0. These numbers are called as non-negative counting numbers. So this set of non-negative counting numbers is also called a set of whole numbers. It is indicated by the letter W. So here we have seen a situation, we have taken the positive counting numbers is called a set of natural numbers. The positive counting numbers including 0 is called as a set of non-negative counting numbers, or we can also call it as W. Exactly in the same way, we can also say the negative counting numbers. Note number 3. Negative counting numbers. As we have earlier seen these situations where we also use the negative numbers for counting the things. So the negative counting numbers -1, -2, -3, so on. These are the negative counting numbers. These negative counting numbers are called as negative integers, and the set of negative integers is indicated by the letter z minus. In the case if you are using the positive counting numbers 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on, we already know that it is a set of natural numbers, but it is also indicated as a set of positive integers, so it is indicated by z plus. So we do have two symbols for positive counting numbers. The positive counting numbers is natural numbers set, so obviously we indicate it by the letter n, or it is a positive set of positive integers, so it is indicated by letter z plus. So z minus indicates that they are the negative counting numbers, z plus indicates that it is a set of positive integers. And let us go with the next one. This is going to be non-positive counting numbers. What are these non-positive counting numbers? Non-positive counting numbers means we should not consider the positive counting numbers. So apart from positive counting numbers, take every number from the set of integers. So we do get, so non-positive, so we should not consider the positive integers. So you take the non-positive integers, that means you take 0, -1, -2, -3 and so on. This is the set of non-positive counting numbers. This set do not have any notation for representation. So here we have seen 4 types of sets which can be taken from this set of integer. First thing is the positive counting numbers. It is called as set of natural numbers, or it is also called as a positive counting numbers, positive integers. So that set of positive integers is indicated by z plus, or it can be also indicated by n. Whereas the negative counting numbers, that is -1, -2, -3 and so on, they are called as a set of negative integers, is indicated by z minus. And when we include 0 into the set of positive counting numbers, so 0, 1, 2, 3 and so on, they are called as set of whole numbers, or we can also call them as the non-negative counting numbers, and it's going to be indicated by w. In case if you are including 0, 2, -1, -2, -3, that is the negative counting numbers including 0, we call them as non-positive counting numbers, and we do not have any notation for non-positive counting numbers. And in all these situations we were discussing about 0. 0 does not come under a positive set of counting numbers or a negative set of counting numbers. So that means 0 is neither positive nor negative number. So among the set of integers, the only number which belongs neither positive or nor negative integers is 0. So 0 is an integer, but it does not belong to the positive integers, it does not belong to the negative integers. Now let us see or discuss about how to represent the integers on a number line. So first we need to know about what is a number line. Number line is a straight line which has got the points on it at equal intervals, and we mark the integers at equal intervals on this straight line. And the numbers to the right we take it as positive numbers, so +1, +2, +3, +4 and so on. And the numbers towards the left of 0 we take it as negative integers, that is -1, -2, -3, -4 and so on. So number line extends on both the sides infinitely, because the positive integers are infinite in number, the negative integers also infinite in number. So this line what we have taken is called as a number line. So a straight line on which we have points at equal intervals, and the point which lies in the middle we take it as 0, and the points lying on to the right of 0 we take it as positive counting numbers. The points lying towards the left of 0 we take it as negative counting numbers. So the entire line including these numbers on it is called as a number line. And if you observe, the value of the number on the number line towards the right is always positive compared to the left. So from the 0, if you are moving towards the right, the value of it increases, and from the 0, if you are moving towards the left, the value of it decreases. Or anywhere on the number line, if you are moving from left to right, the value of the number increases, or if you are moving from right to left, the value of the number decreases. Let us discuss about the increasing or decreasing order of some numbers based upon the number line, as well as we compare two numbers and we'll check what kind of numbers are there, whether they are going to be, which number is going to be greater among those two given numbers. Now let me take some example. Compare the numbers -5 and +3. So I want to compare the numbers -5 and +3. I want to know which number is greater than the other number. So for this we can make use of the number line. Let me draw a number line and let me mark 0 on it, and also we mark the number +3 on it and the number -5. If you observe these two numbers, the number +3 is towards the right of the number minus 5. So the number plus 3 is towards the right of minus 5. So the number which always lies towards the right is always having the greater value than the number having the number on the left of it. So it means here minus 5 is less than plus 3, or plus 3 is greater than minus 5. The reason because plus 3 is lying to the right side of minus 5. So as we discussed earlier, the number which lies on the right side is always greater than the number lying on the left side. So in this way we can compare the numbers using the number line, and we can tell which number is greater than the other number. Let us take some other example in which we compare three numbers. Let's go with the example number 2. Compare the numbers minus 5, minus 3 and plus 2. Here I am going to compare the three numbers or three integers. So the situation is, draw the number line, marking 0 at this middle, and mark the numbers given to us. So we can have minus 1, minus 2, minus 3, minus 4, minus 5. This is going to be minus 5, and minus 1, minus 2 is going to be minus 3. And we also have a positive number or positive integer that's going to be plus 2. So we have marked all the numbers on the number line. So after marking, let us compare which number is lying to the right side of other number. Checking this carefully or observing it carefully, the number plus 2 is lying to the right side of minus 3. So obviously plus 2 is going to be greater than minus 3. And minus 3 is lying to the right side of minus 5. So minus 3 is greater than minus 5. So compared to all the three numbers, we can say plus 2 is the greatest number among them. And what is the smallest number among them? So obviously the one lying to the extreme left of it. So among the three numbers, the number lying extreme left of it is going to be minus 5. So minus 5 is the smallest number. So here we came to know about among the three numbers which is the largest and which is the smallest. Based upon this idea, we can write the ascending order and descending order of the given numbers. In the same example, if I ask you to write the ascending order, the ascending order is the numbers from, arranging the numbers from smallest to greatest. So what is the smallest number among this is going to be minus 5. So minus 5 is less than the next smallest number, that's going to be minus 3. And minus 3 is less than the or smaller than the next number, that's going to be plus 2. So the ascending order of the numbers is minus 5, minus 3 and plus 2. Exactly in the same way, if I ask you about descending order, if I ask you the descending order of these numbers, so descending order means that the number of the arrangement of the numbers from greatest to smallest. So if I arrange the numbers from greatest to smallest, the numbers are going to be plus 2. Plus 2 is greater than minus 3. And minus 3 is still greater than minus 5. So obviously the descending order of the numbers is plus 2, minus 3 and minus 5. So here we have checked an example where we have compared the three integers and we have arranged them in the ascending order and descending order. So this is the example to check how to represent the numbers on the number line and as well as to compare the numbers on the number line. Now, in the next topic of this, we are going to discuss about the absolute value of an integer. Let us discuss about what is meaning of the absolute value of an integer. The absolute value of an integer is also called as modulus. The absolute value or modulus of an integer. The absolute value or modulus of an integer is the number itself neglecting the sign. The absolute value of an integer. Say, let us take the integer as a. The absolute value of an integer a is the number itself neglecting its sign. So the definition, as per the definition of absolute value of an integer, it is a number itself neglecting the sign, and this is indicated by or represented by or denoted by the symbol modulus of a. This is read as modulus of a. Let us see about the actual meaning of absolute value of an integer. So in some situations we need to discuss about the numbers. When you are considering some numbers in some situations, we need to consider the numerical value of it neglecting the sign. In such kind of situations, we make use of the concept of modulus or absolute value, and we are going to see it in the next aim where we are going to use the absolute value. But right now we will discuss about how to get the absolute value of an integer. Now let me go with the definition. So absolute value of integer a is nothing but the number itself neglecting the sign. That is, if the number is a positive number or positive integer, so obviously when you are writing nothing before it, it means that it's going to be a positive integer. If you are already having a positive integer, so neglect the positive sign and writing it again, it remains as positive. So whenever the number is a positive integer, we get the same number without changing anything. In case if you have got a negative number, that is, if you have a as negative integer, if you have got a as a negative integer, then we need to multiply a minus sign for the given number so that the entire number becomes positive. So the absolute value of number a is given by minus a if a is less than 0, and the value of absolute value of a is taken as 0, or it will be 0 in case if a is equal to 0, because 0 is neither positive nor negative, so it does not carry any sign. So even the modulus is going to neglect the sign, so whatever the sign has, it will be neglected, so it remains as 0 in the case if a value is 0. Let us discuss about this definition clearly through some examples. Let us get the clarity about the definition through some examples. So as I already told you about, the absolute value of an integer is nothing but the number itself if a is a positive number, and it's going to be equal to minus a if in case a is a negative number, and it's equal to 0 if a is equal to 0. Let me now take an example. Example number 1. So if I consider the absolute value of minus 5. So as per the definition, the absolute value of an integer is the number itself neglecting this sign. So that means the number is going to be 5, have neglected this sign. In case if I have taken absolute value of plus 5. So as per the definition, the absolute value of a positive integer is the number itself neglecting this sign. That means the number is going to be 5. The example for 0. Let's go for absolute value of 0. The absolute value of 0 is nothing but a 0 itself, because 0 is neither positive nor negative. So here we have discussed some examples. So how we are going to relate these examples to the definition what we have learned already. So let's observe carefully here. If the number a is going to be a positive number, so there is no change in the number. So absolute value of a remains as a in case a is a positive number. So here, if observe carefully, this is an example for the first one. If I take a positive integer, then obviously the number or the absolute value of the number remains the same. There is no change. That means actually when you even neglect the sign, this is going to be remaining positive. So it's going to be 5. So if a is positive, the absolute value of a remains as a itself. But in the case if a is negative number, if a is a negative number, how to get the absolute value of it? As I told you, the absolute value of number is a number itself neglecting this sign. How can you neglect the sign of a negative integer? So here we have a process for it. To neglect the minus sign, we need to multiply the entire number with one more minus sign so that the sign turns as positive, or the sign what remain will be neglected. So to neglect this sign, what we need to do is we need to take the integer and we have to multiply that integer with a minus sign so the result becomes positive. Getting a positive number means nothing, you are going to write nothing before number 5, that means you are neglecting this sign. So we have to be very careful in the case if a is a negative integer. If a is a negative integer, to get the absolute value of that number, we need to multiply that number with one more minus sign so that the number remains as positive number. So here, so we are normally writing this minus 5, absolute value of minus 5 as 5, but the actual process behind it is this. So as per the definition, the number is negative number. To get the absolute value of the negative number, we need to multiply that number with one more minus sign. That's what I have done here. So I have multiplied with a minus sign to the given number. So minus of minus became plus. That means the number has neglected this sign. So by default, in case if there is no sign before the number, it means that it is going to be a positive number anyhow. So what can we conclude from this is, we can conclude that the absolute value of any integer is never negative. If you observe carefully, the absolute value of any integer is never negative. Never negative means it can be a positive or it can be 0. So this is a very important point, that is the absolute value of an integer is never negative. Let us consider some other examples. As we already have seen the definition of modulus, we need to be very careful in the case of a negative integer. Otherwise, you can just apply the definition that neglecting the sign, write the result. Let's go for some situation, some example. Say, simplify absolute value of minus 25 plus absolute value of 25. So I want to simplify this. So I can make use of the definition. So absolute value of minus 25 plus absolute value of 25 is equals to. So as per the definition of absolute value, the absolute value of a negative number is nothing but minus, if absolute value of a is going to be equal to minus a in case if a is a negative number. That means because this number is a negative number, to get the absolute value of the negative number, we need to multiply that with one more minus sign. So I multiply with one more minus sign, I get minus of minus 25. And here, coming for the second term, it is going to be absolute value of a positive integer. For absolute value of positive integer, there is no change. So I do write 25 as it is. So it's going to become minus of minus is going to become plus. So it's going to become plus 25 and plus 25. So the value is going to be equal to plus 50. Anyhow, regarding the multiplication of the signs and addition of the integers, we are going to see in the next aim. But here, because we have introduced that the absolute value of the numbers, so we need to remember the point that minus into minus is going to be plus. Or otherwise, we can do this problem directly. That is, absolute value of minus 25 plus 20, absolute value of 25 is nothing but, as per the definition, absolute value of a number or integer is a number itself neglecting this sign. So if I neglect this sign, simply I get 25. That means it is going to be a positive integer. Here also it is going to be absolute value of 25. So no sign before it means it's a positive number. So neglecting the positive sign again still remains as 25 itself. So we can get the answer as 50. So directly by the definition, we can neglect this sign and write it, or otherwise you apply the formula what we have learned before, that is absolute value of an integer a is going to be equal to minus a in case if a is a negative number. So you can apply that formula, you can get the result. So however, finally we can understand that the absolute value of an integer is an integer itself neglecting the sign. Let us check some other example based upon the absolute value of integer. Find the value of mod x minus of minus mod x if x is greater than 0. So you have to be very careful in this example. Here we are asked to simplify mod x minus mod of minus x, and he has given that x is going to be positive number. Because x is a positive integer, the absolute value of a positive integer is a number itself neglecting this sign. So the number itself. So absolute value of a positive integer, because it is a positive integer, the absolute value of a positive integer is a number itself neglecting this sign. So we get here as x, and we have a minus sign in between, so minus. Now how about the next number? The absolute value of a negative integer, the absolute value of a negative integer is obtained by multiplying it with a negative sign. So minus of minus x is going to be x. Or otherwise, the absolute value of an integer is the integer itself neglecting this sign. So if I neglect this sign, I get the result as x. So x minus x is going to be equal to 0. So the value of mod x minus mod of minus x is going to become equal to 0 in case if x is greater than 0. And the situation changes if x is a negative number. So let us discuss about the situation where you get x as a negative number. So let me go with the example number 4. The same question, if I take x is a negative number, that means x is less than 0, what happens to the expression? So absolute value of x minus absolute value of minus x is equals to, observe it carefully, x is a negative integer. Because x is a negative integer, so the absolute value of a negative integer is obtained by multiplying that negative integer with one more minus sign. So I am going to multiply it with one more minus sign, so I get minus x. Whereas this number x is already negative. Negative of negative is going to be positive. That means this number is going to be a positive number. So here we get minus of, here we get a positive integer, that means we get x. So minus x gives you as minus 2x. Here we are going to add the integers. The addition of integers we are going to discuss in the next aim, and we are going to check about how do we get minus 1x as minus 2x. So in this topic we have seen the integers, and we have seen the various set of numbers obtained from the set of integers. And now let us check the final concept in this, that is how to find the number of integers from a given number to the given number and between a given integer to the other integer. Let's go through some example. Say I want to go find the number of integers between minus 3 and plus 2. So here we are going to find about the number of integers between minus 3 and plus 2. Let us make use of the number line for it to make it understand very clearly. Let me draw the number line. Mark 0 and the numbers minus 1, minus 2, minus 3. And also plus 1, plus 2 and plus 3. Now what the question says is, he asks you find the number of integers between minus 3 and plus 2. He asks you number of integers between minus 3 and plus 2. The number of integers between minus 3 and plus 2 are minus 2, minus 1, 0 and plus 1. So number of integers between minus 3 and plus 2 are 4 integers. So number of integers between minus 3 and plus 2 are how many numbers? 1, 2, 3 and 4. 4 in number. So number of integers between minus 3 and plus 2 are 4 in number. Do we have any generalized formula to get the number of integers between minus 3 and plus 2? Can I get the result by just subtracting them? That is plus 2 minus of minus 3. Can I get it? So plus 2 minus of minus 3 gives you plus 2 minus of minus 3, which gives you as plus 2 plus 3, which is going to be equal to plus 5. But our answer is not plus 5, so we need to subtract 1 from it. That is going to be plus 2 plus 3 minus 1, that is going to be 5 minus 1, that is going to be equal to 4. So number of integers between minus 3 and plus 2 is given like the difference between the numbers and also subtracting 1 from it. That is, this can be generalized as the number of integers between A and B is given by B minus A minus 1. That is, take the difference of the two numbers and then subtract a 1 from it. That gives you number of integers between the two given numbers. Anyhow, to know this, we need to understand, or we need to know about the addition and subtraction of the integers, which we are going to learn in the next step. As for now, you can draw the number line and mark the given numbers and count the number of integers between them and write the number of integers lying between them. But this generalized formula can be discussed only after knowing about how to add and how to subtract the integers. That we are going to learn in the next step. And let me discuss about one more concept, that is, find the number of integers from minus 3 to plus 2. If I ask you the question, that is, find the number of integers from minus 3 to plus 2, what it means? It means that I want the number of integers from, that is, starting from minus 3 to ending with plus 2. So here, if I want to get the answer for this question, that is, number of integers from minus 3 to plus 2 are. Here I ask you about number of integers. So from minus 3 to plus 2, that means we need to include minus 3 as well as plus 2. So start counting from minus 3 onwards. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. So number of integers from minus 3 to plus 2 is 6. In the previous case, the question was how many integers were there between minus 3 and plus 2. But here the question says how many integers are there from minus 3 to plus 2. So the only difference is, in the case from minus 3 to plus 2, we need to include the numbers minus 3 as well as plus 2. But in the previous case, we have taken the integers only between minus 3 and plus 2. And this also can be generalized. That is, in general, if you want to know, or if you want to find about number of integers from minus 3 to plus 2 is given by the difference between the numbers, that is plus 2 minus of minus 3, and of course add a plus 1, that is plus 2 plus 3 plus 1, you get 6. That means this can be generalized as number of integers from A to B is given by the difference between the numbers, that is B minus A, and add a 1 to it, that is B minus A plus 1. So in the previous case, we have taken the formula as B minus A minus 1, and here we are taking the formula as B minus A plus 1. Children, try to understand about how we got the formula. So here, because we are going to include both the integers, so we need to take the difference of the numbers as well as add 1. That gives you the total count of numbers starting from -3 to +2. And if they ask you any questions based upon this, so directly you can draw the number line and mark the numbers given to you and read the question carefully, where it's going to be from to a particular number or between particular two numbers. So check that accordingly, count the numbers and write the numbers, or you can use the formula once you come to know about the addition and subtraction of the integers, which you are going to learn in the next time. Thank you.